What's this? Videodrome.
Torture, murder.
Sounds great.
This week we watched Videodrome from 1983. This might be my all-time favorite David Cronenberg film. It's a formative work in the body horror genre and pretty visually groundbreaking. The first time I saw this movie, it completely blew me away. I do think it still holds up. I'll give this one 4 stars, a big recommendation from me. The plot has a little bit of a stream of consciousness thing going on with it, which it works for it because the plot basically involves hallucinating and experiencing a warped version of reality. The way the story plays out works for the film, but I'm not sure if that was intentional or just the byproduct of a film being rushed into production before the screenplay was complete. Videodrome might have some of the most memorable visual effects of the 80s. Not to say that it's full of big monsters or has wall-to-wall gore, but the effects that this film does have are very impactful. And this also might be one of my favorite James Woods movies. He's great as like a slimy
Oh, he finally
character.
gets to play some breath and play a slimy sleazeball. Debbie Harry was great, and I actually didn't even realize that she's actually the lead singer of Blondie.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No! What? Effects by Rick Baker from American Werewolf in London and so many other just groundbreaking effects films. It really is a formative body horror picture, and it features so many iconic special effects, just like gross out stuff. Like you were saying, it is kind of a stream of consciousness at some point, and I think that sort of lose me. It just feels kind of meandering, and so I'm gonna give this movie the only number I know, 3. But I'm gonna recommend it. I think you ought to check it out. If you like David Cronenberg, definitely check this out. But I think he's had stronger films. I think The Fly is better, and even Existence touches upon a lot of similar themes. And might
You think Existence is better than Videodrome?
I do.
Oh, I could disagree with that.
You've seen Existence, you know.
No, it's a similar idea, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily nearly as strong of a movie.
It's got a cooler. I mean, it actually has a like a narrative and plot you can follow, and then it has some twists. Whereas this one really does kind of doesn't fall apart, but it becomes very.
I think Videodrome has
confusing.
a way better plot than Existence.
What is this?
Existence is just like, are we playing a game? Are we not playing a game?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, that's the whole concept. Yeah.
Right. But isn't that this movie too? It's like it becomes like are we watching a movie? Is this even really happening? Do you
A little
just
bit,
have,
but there,
do you
but
just
there's
have
an
brain
actual,
tumors?
There's an actual plot. Nothing actually happens in Existence.
Agree to disagree. Anyway, 3 stars. Still recommends, but I like Cronenberg's other pictures a little bit more.
Videodrome is available on Blu-ray. There's a Criterion Collection 4K disc. It is not currently available on any streaming platform. Since Videodrome was released in the early 80s at the height of home video censorship, there were something like 5 different cuts of Videodrome. If you're watching one of the recent HD or 4K releases, you're seeing the director's cut with all the original scenes intact.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that the initial cut was like 78 minutes long or something, and it was too confusing and nobody understood what was going on. So he kind of had to come back, brought it up to like 85 minutes, 87 minutes or something like that.
Okay.
For the current version. And it just added more explanation for like that he works at a TV station, for example. That sort of thing was just like cut. It was tight apparently, but it wasn't enough to ground people.
Videodrome stars James Woods as Max Wren, the owner of a small television station who discovers a scrambled transmission of snuff porn and, believing it to be simulated, pursues the possibility of broadcasting it. Unbeknownst to Max, when he watches the Videodrome tape, he's exposed to a signal which, when received by the brain, in conjunction with stimuli like extreme sex and violence, causes the brain to produce a tumor which generates grotesque hallucinations. And Videodrome does not paint a very flattering portrait of people in the media. Max Wren is a creep. The older woman, the agent that tries to sell him softcore Japanese porn and warns him about Videodrome being real, is also a creep and mentions liking young men when she and Max are having lunch. So Max is gross, but he's not the villain of the story. Max is an ignorant pawn that's been unknowingly exposed to Videodrome. He gets Brian Oblivion's name from the agent and attempts to get in contact with the producers of Videodrome until he realizes they are actually the ones pursuing him. Max represents the kind of violence that's not acceptable in society. He has to go and defend himself on talk shows because violent TV and movies is a hot button issue. By contrast, Barry Convicts represents the kind of violence that is acceptable in society. He mentions that aside from making glasses, his company works on NATO missile systems. This company is a military contractor. They profit from death and destruction. Convex planted a mole within his company to expose him to Videodrome so they could control him and use his TV station as a means to distribute Videodrome. Once Max has been exposed enough to Videodrome's signal, Convex can control him like a programmable assassin, which is visualized by Barry inserting a Betamax tape into Max's chest cavity.
Yeah.
You know, you see this and you have to wonder, is this really happening, or is this just Max's hallucinations caused by the tumor?
Right. And it's a great effect. Again,
It's a great effect.
by Rick Baker.
I think it's one of the most memorable visual effects of the 80s.
Right. And, you know, it places Max as like a physical embodiment of like an actual consumer. He is physically ingesting media into his stomach beyond just like, you know, taking it in through like regular means. And I think that, you know, it's a great metaphor. I found it interesting, too, that they chose a Betamax rather than a VHS, because a VHS was actually too girthy for his tight little tummy hole.
Yeah.
So Betamax actually was the choice. Just, I think, because of that specific reason. But it was also...
it's also professional, as in video, wouldn't have VHS tapes. They would have beta tapes.
Oh, is that where they were using that for like radio or TV stations?
Oh, yeah, that was the professional format. VHS is the garbage for home.
Oh, interesting.
These days, Max would probably be inserting a mini DV. Oh yeah, much easier.
Videodrome is a film about media rewiring your perception of reality, and it was made 30-something years before social media algorithms existed. So David Cronenberg got all this basically just from like cable news. One of the most prophetic moments in the film is when Max is on TV with the media theorist who only appears on screens, Professor Oblivion, who's obviously based after Marshall McLuhan.
Soon all of us will have special names. Names designed to cause the cathode ray tube to resonate.
This is a good 10 years before email and screen names were a thing, and David Cronenberg is already freaked out about this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, this movie is definitely ahead of its time. Essentially, Gary, it's been proven that the brain cannot distinguish between actually experiencing the thing on screen that you're seeing. But, you know, our human contextualization of knowing that we're watching a movie helps us hopefully sort of distinguish it. But as we're watching it, it's essentially the same thing as experiencing it. And this has been proven in 1992 by the existence of mirror neurons. They did a study where they connected monkey brains to electro recorders, and they showed videos to those monkeys of other monkeys' faces emoting. They took brainwave readings of those monkeys who did emote, and then they also took brainwave readings of the monkeys watching the monkeys emote. And the brainwave patterns matched up. Therefore, the monkeys viewing it were mirroring the emotions that they were seeing. And this, I think, developed in our brains as like facilitating like social connection. Like I see someone sad and I feel sad too, or I see someone happy and laughing and I laugh too, because that does connect people. People who don't have this typically are kind of psychotic. Who can't associate with other people's emotions are typically on the psychotic scale, right? And so when you are viewing fiction with real actors, the brain creates brainwaves that deal with the imagined scenario, that essentially live what you are seeing. Even you're not associating with the actor, you're associating with the things that the actor that the character is experiencing. And then the brain and body reacts accordingly, creating hormones to deal with these scenarios that you're watching. So that's why we get excited when we see an action movie, or we get scared when we see a scary movie, because the brain is releasing cortisol to deal with stress, or it's releasing endorphins, which are like a painkiller, essentially. They're like brain opioids, and we can become addicted to these brain opioids, much like Oblivion's like homeless shelter methadone clinic, where they just show homeless people the Videodrome, right? Not Videodrome, sorry. They're showing them television. They're just watching television, right? Yeah. And so these homeless people are living vicariously through the screen because they are addicted to the screen. They have become screen addicts, just like all of us have. We have become so addicted to living vicariously, even our lives can sometimes seem boring, right? And we want to be that person on the screen. We want to be the person experiencing Videodrome because, our brains have been trained to do so. A lot of people find it calming to watch horror films and like other things. They've trained their brain to become addicted to the chemical release of the fight or flight chemicals. If the brain is the same as experiencing it, then the watching someone's pain is to feel the pain, is to get the brain's reaction to pain. All of us, everybody, is like chasing this dragon. We're all watching the screen and we're all living other people's lives vicariously and endlessly swiping for our next hit. Death to video phones. Long live the new flesh.
To create images
映
is
像はいつも
always a
可
challenge.
能性への挑戦だ。
Digital magic.